The intelligent chassis integrated with AI technology is claimed to be able to predicate road conditions and become smarter as it's driven. And this sounds amazing, but what is actually driving feel like? Can the support of AI technology really take the performance of the chassis to the next level? Hello everyone, I'm Isabella. Welcome to Lab Test. And today we will brought in a XPeng G7 equipped with an AI chassis system to have a head-to-head chassis showdown with the well-recognized luxury SUV benchmark, the Mercedes-Benz GLE. We will test the real difference between the two cars in terms of shock absorption, stability, and driving experience and the various road conditions. Is it Mercedes-Benz that is stronger, or XPeng that has the edge? Let's start the test right now. For the first test, we directly cranked up the intensity. We created a continuous bumpy road using 14 speed bumps with a space of 4 meters between each speed bumps. The two vehicles were passing through at a speed of around 25 km per hour. At the same time, we placed water cups on the vehicles with an initial liquid level of 500 milliliters to see which vehicles spilled the more water. First test car is the GLE, as a byword for German luxury SUVs. Let's see if it really measures up. When going over speed bumps, it can be seen that the air suspension and the front double wishbone and rear multi-link structure give it sufficiency, confidence, and assurance to absorb bumps. The overall up and down movement of the wheels is quite active. The screen switches to the water cup, and the water level in the cup begins to fluctuate significantly. It seems that the sudden big impact of the speed bump catches its shock absorbers off guard, causing the vehicle's body to be rather bumpy. Through statistics, the water spillage of the GLE is approximately 20 milliliters. The next one is the technology-rocky XPeng G7. Let's look forward to the performance of its AI chassis. Now the XPeng G7 has entered a continuous bumpy section, and the tires are also actively bouncing up and down. However, its movements are significantly more crisp and clean, without excessive bouncing, and it looks quite good. Exactly which car has a stronger chassis shock absorption ability when passing over speed bumps? If we put the two cars in the same frame for comparison, the difference should be more obvious. Then let's take a look at the situation of the water cup. When passing over the speed bump, the water also started to fluctuate, and some water spill out. The test is over. Let's summarize the final result. As shown in the figure, the final amount of water spilled from the Mercedes-Benz GLE is 20 milliliters, while that from the XPeng G7 is 15 milliliters. In addition to use the water cup for demonstration, we also use professional instruments to read the vibration G values of the two vehicles passing through continuous speed bumps at the same speed. Through the two charts, we can clearly see that the two vehicles have different trends of vertical acceleration changes when facing vertical impacts. However, looking at the details, both the peak and the valley values of the vertical acceleration G value of Mercedes-Benz are slightly larger than those of XPeng. This indicates that the impact force transmitted to the vehicle body when passing over a speed bump is also slightly greater. The display of the water cup also confirms this view. Judging from the above comprehensive performance, the XPeng G7 is superior. This is mainly due to the empowerment of the super intelligent preview and AI chassis self-learning system. The XPeng G7 scan the road conditions 1,000 times per second, adjust the suspension 200 times per second, and can make adjustments up to 300 milliseconds in advance, demonstrating an adaptive advantage for different road conditions. Traditional chassis systems, no matter how precise they are essentially a passive response to road bumps. Even though the variable damping shock absorbers and air springs of Mercedes-Benz GLE can provide excellent comfort, its adjustment logic still relies on the preset driving modes and the current road conditions feedback by sensors. The innovation of the XPeng G7 lies in its ability to predict the future. It is precisely this predictive and proactive adjustment that enable it to rival the GLE model equipped with an air suspension in terms of dynamic comfort in some scenarios. I believe everyone has had this experience when driving on a continuously undulating wave road. People in the car will bounce up and down to a relatively large extent, Moreover, due to the high center of gravity and large size of SUV models, sitting in the car is like being in a moving ship. The severity of this feeling is also a reference for many people to judge the quality of the chassis. And next, let's take a look at the specific performance of the two cars and which cars provides a more comfortable riding experience. Benz GLE first. According to the feedback from my colleague, when passing through sections with large undulations, the vehicle's pitch and amplitude can be felt more obviously, and the overall sense of vitalness is more intense. Moreover, due to the relatively long suspension travel, after passing through this large pitching section, there will still be some lateral swaying from side to side, which may cause motion sickness. And next one is XPeng G7. First of all, the overall sense of weightlessness has been reduced significantly. At the same time, at the moment of landing, its movements are cleaner and more decisive. Besides the up and down bouncing, there is basically no left and right swaying like that of a Mercedes-Benz after landing. The posture outside the vehicle is more intuitive. When the Mercedes-Benz encounters large undulations, the vehicle has a more obviously upward trend. Correspondingly, the small bolt element in the vehicle also fluctuates more violently. Why is overall chassis performance of XPeng G7 so impressive? Because in addition to using the top-level suspension form of front double wishbone and rear 5-link, the depot self-developed intelligent variable damping shock absorbers have also been customized for these working conditions. Improving the damping rebound speed can pull the spring more quickly, suppress aftershocks, and effectively reduce the shear feeling caused by excessive up and down floating of the vehicle body. In the face of sudden major impact, the increase in damping bandwidth can minimize the situation where the shock absorber bottoms out and is punctured. Strong support is the key to ensuring the stability of the vehicle's body. If the first two sets each have their specific targeted and focused directions, emphasizing the strengths, then this last structure of rough road covered with gravel and piece of various sizes is more like a hybrid of them. If there is any obvious weakness in any part of chassis, it will greatly reduce the overall comfort. And moreover, we encounter rough road more often during daily driving. Let's start by looking at the body posture. When driving on a gravelly road, the body shaking amplitude of the GLE is significantly greater than that of the XPeng G7. Creating a sense of isolation is Mercedes-Benz fault. However, on such unpaved rough road, in order to maintain this floating feel, the GLE sometimes sacrifices some immediate and powerful suspension of the body's pitching and rolling. Nevertheless, both cars filter the fine bumps caused by the gravel very well. At the same time, we switch the perception inside the car again. We're driving on this bumpy road. The spring toy in the G7 jumps up and down regularly, and the amplitude of the left-right swaying of the strip toy is relatively small. While the spring toy in the GLE jumps up and down, there are also many small lateral shakes. This can be seen more clearly and intuitively through the strip toy. According to the driving experience shared by my colleagues, for the same bumps and unevenness on the road, due to the differences in tuning and calibration, the Mercedes-Benz GLE gives a stronger sense of shape feeling when absorbing impacts, while the XPeng G7 feels more stable. The brand new Taiji hydraulic bushing, based on a 35% improvement in the buffer capacity when crossing bumps, makes up for the situation where traditional rubber bushing do not filter impact from different directions effectively when absorbing impacts. It can not only efficiently absorb direct vertical impacts, but also suppress torsion and shaking from other directions. This effective suspension of the multi-directional impacts is an important reason for enhancing subjective comfort. In the eyes of everyone, Mercedes-Benz has always been a byword for high-end driving texture. The GLE we actually tested has also, with excellent results, slightly proven the benefits brought by the mature tuning of this century-old automaker. But through the above three tests and multi-round comparison, it is not difficult to see that even though the price differences between the XPeng G7 and the Mercedes-Benz GLE is several times over, and the XPeng G7 lacks the air spring chassis configuration, the overall quality it demonstrates still reaches a level not inferior to that of the GLE. When driving on road with good road condition, the Mercedes-Benz GLE continues to exhibit the sense of isolation from the road surface that is associated with the luxury SUVs in people's mind. The XPeng G7, on the other hand, highlights a soft yet resilient texture, but road conditions are changing rapidly, facing complex bumps and undulations. This variable damping shock absorbers and air spring combinations of the Mercedes-Benz GLE, coupled with a precise driving mode, is more like a mature and stable solution to deal with different challenges. However, this kind of static setting based on precise scenarios has a basically fixed performance boundary once it levels a factory. The AI chassis of the XPeng G7 presents another approach. It uses a front-facing camera to sense road conditions, construct a bump map by leveraging cloud, share the data, and combines the vehicle's continuous learning ability to dynamically adjust the suspension response. This system places more emphasis on perception, prediction, and adaptation, with its core lying in prejudgment and evolution. It is no longer restricted by the factory setting but can continuously iterate based on road conditions, characteristics, and driving habits, further tapping into the potential of the mechanical structure. The significance of the XPeng G7's AI chassis goes far beyond merely enhancing comfort or handling. It represents a leap in thinking. Automotive intelligence is no longer confined to the icing on the cake functions experience layers such as intelligent cockpits and intelligent driving, but is now penetrating into the mechanical core layer that ensure the vehicle's very extends, the chassis. In the future, the criteria for evaluating a good car may well be redefined as a result. So that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.